There we are. Now we're live. All right. Say hello, buddy.
Hey.
The weather's got the Wi-Fi signal going crazy. How you doing, man?
Good, man. It's weird weather today.
It was 90 degrees yesterday and 60 degrees today.
Freezing around here.
I got a sport coat on. I haven't worn a sport coat in a while, man.
I know. I walked out early this morning. We were going to a coffee with a couple guys, and I didn't realize how cold it was. And we sat on a patio, and it was freezing.
Yeah.
I was shivering the whole breakfast.
Well, for this show, the first and only time prior to moving here that I was in Dallas was I came to film an episode with a guy named Patrick Bet-David. Patrick Bet-David owns one of the largest financial services companies, a celebrity entrepreneur. It was in November. Did not check the weather. Didn't even think about it. It's Dallas. It's probably hot.
Yeah.
Dude, it was 30 degrees.
Luckily,
I was wearing a suit. But anyways, let me do my introduction.
Sure.
Hello, everybody. My name's Alex Vidal. I'm the regional vice president for Coldwell Banker in Dallas-Fort Worth. And today we're sitting with one of our rockstar, pun intended, realtors, Jason Castro, in our Lakewood office. This is episode 111. As Jason said, triple ones.
Like it.
Jason has got quite the story for you guys today. It's really cool. A little different than what we've done. We've actually never had a former musician or current musician, but on before, and it's going to bring a different perspective to the real estate conversation that we're going to have today. So, you ready, man?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Now, Jason, you went from getting involved in real estate early on, then you got into music, right? Kind of steered away a little bit. Now you're back into real estate. Tell us a little bit about your path to where we are today.
Yeah, so I would say I grew up in a house. My dad was an architect by degree. He designed and built custom swimming pools, so I was always around construction. That was kind of my first introduction to real estate. My grandmother also always had a little house she was working on. She was an immigrant, came here as an adult, didn't know the language, was a teacher, worked 3 jobs, single mom her whole life. And I saw how buying real estate, even, at her level, she came here with no money.
Yeah.
And at the end of her life, it provided for her in a big way. She had 3 houses paid off, and it took care of her home health care that she needed, which the pensions didn't cover. It was phenomenal to see that. That tied with Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
A friend gave me that when I was 18. I don't know how or why, but when I was 18, I read that, and it changed my perspective on money and real estate. And so from that point, from the time I was 18 on, I was like, I can't wait to buy a rental property. I didn't even care about my house. I didn't care where I would live. I was going to live on the road. I was going to be a musician, but I need to buy some rental properties. So fast forward, obviously I didn't start buying rentals at 18. I was going to college. I was playing in bands. And then music opened up, an awesome opportunity. I was a junior at Texas A&M, where I was studying. I was in the College of Architecture, so still real estate related, design, construction. I was a junior there when I tried out for American Idol, and it went way better than I would have imagined. I'd only been singing for about a year before I tried out, so I had really low expectations, just a lot of drive and a hey, why not attitude, and every step of the way I was like, well, I guess we'll keep going. And so then I had a career for 10 years in music, and in that time real estate was always kind of the idea. And so we bought our first house after I got married. Then we bought a rental property the following year. And then I decided to take a break from music. It had been kind of a challenge for my family. So we decided to come home and buy a fixer-upper. We did that. Then we decided to go back on the road with a new project that I did with my brother and sister.
Cool.
So we were still signed to a label at that time. We went and toured. It was a short run. It was kind of starting over in a lot of ways because of the band. But in that year is also when I got my real estate license. So up to that point, I was finding houses on the MLS, and I have an agent help, or sometimes my father-in-law helped me out. He was an appraiser for many years and had his.
And you got your license for yourself or to sell?
I got it for myself, thinking, hey, I'll have access to the MLS. I'll be able to find better deals. And then, as I'm getting to the end of my classes, I realize I have to hang my license with the broker. So I start talking to people, and I connected with a group that was doing a lot of investment stuff in my neighborhood. So I was like, hey, that's cool what they're doing. They're remodeling these cool houses.
Sure.
Maybe I can learn something there. And that's when I realized, I can make money as an agent and make good money. It was foreign to me. So I got my license, and that first year I had my license, I was still touring. spending, I'd say like half the year I was on the road, half the year I was in town.
And how many kids did you have at that point?
2, maybe 3 kids at that point.
I mean, you have
maybe
total
3.
now.
I've got 4 now.
You got 4 now. We got that in common.
4 kids. So yeah, in that year, you know, real estate, by that point, all my friends already knew me as the real estate guy because I had a couple rentals. I had remodeled houses. So the business picked up naturally at first. You know, a couple friends jumped in right away. I remember my first client 2 weeks in. I had 2 friends that called me, hey, we want to buy a house with you. Great. It was an awesome jump start. But by the end of the first like full calendar year, while I'm touring, driving the van in an old, or driving the country in an old RV, you know, I had brought in 6 figures in real estate and was averaging about $500 a month with the band.
Yeah.
And so at that point, we were about to be expecting our 4th kid, and it was like, you know what, it's probably time to go home and focus on this thing. It was so exciting. Real estate was so exciting, whereas music had become kind of
a drag.
The same old thing. Yeah, I'd been doing it for 10 years. The hour on stage was always great, but the other 23, you know, the more kids I had, the more I felt like I was missing on valuable time.
Interesting though, right? Because you spent 23 off for that 1 hour.
For that
it's
1
so.
hour.
By the way, the same thing in real estate. You know,
you're waiting.
You're waiting, or you're
moment.
practicing just to get that one shot in front of that customer.
Yep.
And we're going to talk a lot about real estate in a minute. But one of the things, and not because of the music, but what was really cool, and obviously I just met you in the last 2 months.
Yep.
He was the very first meeting I had as the RVP here in DFW. Lunch right across the street. But in doing a little bit of research, which I do with all my guests, particularly those who I've met recently or maybe even never met before, was, dude, you were a shy kid, right?
Yeah.
And we're in this business that we need to talk to people face to face, belly to belly, palm to palm. By the way, we're 6 feet apart behind closed doors. We had our masks on right before we started, a little asterisk. And so, but you developed the skill, and based on what I read, was to be able to talk to anybody, anywhere, anytime. How'd you do it? Because that's our business. When people, there are actually shy realtors out there, right?
Yeah. So I do think that was developed throughout the music career.
Okay.
But the key, I think, for every shy person, I was very shy. I mean, we laugh, even just the way I used to talk. I used to mumble so much more. I wouldn't say my words out loud. I was so insecure, so shy. But the secret about shy people, you get them talking about something they're into, and they get going. So for me, it was music. Music was the setting. When I stepped into there, I was a different person. This was what I loved to do, so I did it.
Yeah.
And you know, there was like an adrenaline rush too after the show.
Sure.
Yeah, everyone's
cheering you on.
So,
Literally cheering you on.
So you become a different person when you gain that confidence through that. And I think the same thing happened through real estate, is that I found it something I'm incredibly passionate about, what it can do for people. For my clients, how it can set up their futures by making wise decisions now. And so I just love it. And so yeah, it's real easy. But that aspect
stepping into your passion to open up your shyness, that's cool, man. I've never heard that before. Now, one more question, then we're going to really dive into the deep end of the pool in real estate because of that design background, the investment background, right? And how you're using that with your clients today. But here you are, you're a nervous wreck. You're in front of a stage, or you're going on American Idol, national TV, live. Like, you think this is live. Forget that. That's live. At least we think it's live, right?
Yeah.
We won't get into that. What systems or habits did you have to handle that high pressure? And I ask because if you're a listing agent or an agent going on a listing and it's your first $1 million listing, you're nervous, right?
Yeah.
It's $2 million, $3 million, $10 million.
Yep.
How did you handle that pressure?
Practice was the only thing you could do. Do it over and over again, and then you have to have a mindset, is like in a lot of things, and that's something I've learned a lot through real estate, that maybe I was practicing partially unawarely, but it's the mindset of, I'm here for this, I was made for this, this is my moment. You have to believe that in whatever instance you're walking into, whether it's on stage or whether it's into the listing appointment.
That's right.
You have to believe you are the best opportunity for these people to sell their home, because that confidence comes across. And a lot of times, in many situations, if you're getting ready to sell your house, you're really tapping into somebody else's confidence, that listing agent. You need to know that this guy's going to get it done right, get it done fast, get it done. Just get it done for you, because a lot of people, it's a daunting task to sell your house and find the new one. What if we don't find the next one? What if all these what ifs? So your confidence is the main thing you're selling. Obviously, you have to be competent, and that comes with experience or leaning on your team. But I think just like in music, as it is in listing appointments, you have to feel great and know you're the best. You have to believe that.
Man, I wish if we were teaching, if I was teaching the listing presentation class, I have 4 things that you kind of have to do in preparation for it. And the 4th one is you got to believe in yourself. Because if you don't, how can you expect the seller to believe in you? But the other one, key, you ask anybody, whether it's a musician or I've had athletes on or my best friend's a police officer. And I talked to, we were traveling and I had to do the show. So we were talking on camera. I'm like, dude, somebody pulls a gun on you. Like, how do you know what to do? Or you're in a high-speed chase. How do you know what to do? He's like, do you know how many hours we put in? Hundreds, thousands of hours training. He's also a pilot for Invicta watches. Like, dude, flight emergency. He was thousands of hours in the simulator. So if you probably put a number to how many thousands of hours you were practicing. So practice, role play, confidence. All right, so let's talk about real estate. You now came over to Coldwell Banker, last year and a half, right?
About 2 years ago now.
2 years ago. Time flies. Now, you formed a team when you came here, the Jason Castro group. Talk to me, and I got 3 questions when it comes to this process, and you can answer them any way you want. What was your thought process behind you wanting to form the team? How did it benefit your clients and you as well? And what was your biggest lesson that was kind of like that eye-opening experience when you formed the team?
Okay,
let's start with the first one.
Why?
The thought process of the team.
So from the time I got into real estate, knew I wanted to build a team. One, things are just better together. I like the energy of having more people in the room. 2, I knew right away there's a lot of things I'm not good at. So I am a big picture visionary guy. I love talking to people, connecting with people. I have a lot of, I guess I'm learning more about my strengths every day, and I know the details are not my strength. So I'm great to get a contract, get it, and then I'm kind of like, oh, great, that's fun. Oh, look at that. And early on, that was such a struggle for me because in my mind, I would find like the moment as the most important thing, getting the listing agreement, getting the contract accepted. All these things were like, yay, great. Now let me find another one of those.
Yeah.
But there's so many other steps. I think something like 140 steps, 140 ways for a deal to fall apart. So the first step was, getting a transaction coordinator just to help keep track with all those deadlines and client communications. And then as we grow, it's ultimately, so I can keep doing what I do best, which is connecting with people, bringing in the business. And now I can have people, like one of my team members, my brother, he does not like to talk to people naturally. Like he doesn't want to go socialize, doesn't want to go
not
anything.
his wheelhouse.
Not his wheelhouse. But that guy is a mind. He will, when we go to make an offer, he will give a thorough analysis, provide the comps. Hey, this property has this. Here's why I suggest offering between here and here. I read his emails and I'm like, I'm 100% confident in that. Whereas I've always just been more instinctively, I'll take a quick glance because I don't like to get into the details. I'm like, oh yeah, around here, yeah. But it wasn't backed up with like that data. So now my clients gain that value where my brother is an analytical mind. He will dive into the details for you and show, hey, here's why. And they can move forward confidently. So it brings more confidence to everybody, to the clients, to me. And so that's, as we build, it's finding the parts, finding my weakest link and saying, hey, who can fill that role? Who can make us better, stronger, and ultimately. So
here you are, you're 2 years into it. What was the one thing that happened that you weren't expecting in creating a team?
You have to have a plan. So again, the big picture visionary guy, I'm like, yeah, let's go. And I had a bunch of friends reach out, hey, we want to join your team. I'm like, yeah, come on. They all got here without a clear role and without a clear plan. I didn't give them the plan. So that first year, we accomplished a lot of great things, but it sucked all of my time and energy where every spare moment was like answering little nitpicky, all the things I don't like to do again. Yeah. It brought up all these little detail questions that I was so drained after that first year and just had to unwind. So we kind of cleaned house again, start fresh. We're not going to add until we need and we know what that person's going to do. So it's the systems and processes, that's kind of what we're in the process of building first and then adding the piece.
Well, what I love most is not only do you understand it, you're open to learning those processes. And I mean, I know you brought your mom in, who's a systems perfectionist,
Yeah.
right? You and I have spent time together talking about the different things that you need to have in place. But the cool thing is you're receptive to it. You're just not saying, hey, this is what I need, and then not doing anything about it. You're actually putting action behind it to make it come to fruition.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I loved most when we did spend time off camera and we were kind of business planning and big picture stuff was you talking about your design and construction, kind of like that's really a big passion of yours. But what was really cool is how you're bringing that to your clients. So share with the audience about how you're bringing that passion of design and construction into your actual real estate sales business.
Yeah, so the design construction stuff, that is my biggest passion. And so even everything I do in real estate, all the income I make is so that I can go invest. And I'm, flipping houses, buying rentals, doing all that. But there's a lot of people that want to do that as well. And it's a scary thing. It's scary enough buying a house, but then, hey, how do we buy this house? And in that 7-day option period, how can I visualize what I can do with this house, budget it? How can you make that decision confidently? Most people can't, unless you've done it before. So being able to share that, experience and wisdom and value, and now contacts now after I've been doing this, personally investing for about 8 years now. So I've got a really strong team. I've got a builder that can give turnkey bids within a week of whatever my visual is. So I'm real quick to draw. I use a 3D program. I can sketch up if you have a survey of your house, I can draw like the interior. This is what it'll look like without this wall, the new kitchen layout. I love doing that, and I can whip it up in an hour or two. So with clients looking to buy something and remodel it, they typically don't know what they're looking for. So that's where hey, this is the house. Hey, look, this is what we can do with it. Then we bring in the contractors. They give them a number. We have all that before they close. And that's really a powerful thing because the time is
Absolutely.
Time is precious in construction.
That's right. And in the area you're in, you're kind of Lakewood, you have a lot of that going on. You have a lot of scraping of homes going on or popping of homes going up. That's a lot of what's happening around here. So I'm sure that's in big demand, right?
Yeah, and it's so fun. Yeah.
See, look at the smile. You know that's his passion. Now the other thing is, and you've mentioned it quite a few times, you have a lot of real estate that you personally own as investments. How has that experience helped you with your clients as well? Because it's cool. You bring all these different angles, right? So you work with a buyer, you work with a seller, you have the traditional real estate. Now you work with a buyer who wants to either fix and flip or buy, remodel for themselves. You can give them that vision. What about on the investment side?
I think it's helpful, as with anything, just to have gone through the process yourself. Otherwise, you're really just referring and hoping this guy's good, and hey, you're the guinea pig. And I don't like my clients to be the guinea pig, so I'm happy to be the guinea pig. And I've gone through all these different types of investments. Across the board, everything now. We're about to do our first new build. We just contracted, I don't know if I told you this, 18 acres to develop into a small subdivision.
Single-family homes, townhomes?
Single-family homes, what we'll do. It's, just outside of Dallas.
Now, interesting, because there's some single-family home rental communities here in Dallas. Are you going to keep them as
heard about those. No, this is a high-end community.
Nice,
so it's
dude.
not a... Yeah, so
proud of you, bro.
So always doing stuff, but that way I'm able to say, hey, I've walked through it. This is how it looks. And we know, early on, it is, at least in my case, maybe some people are more, detailed, but early on, it's I've got a gut feeling here. I know I can kind of do this. Hey, we're going to figure it out. So it's I've gone through that risk and the figuring it out. That now I can speak with experience and intelligence on, hey, this is what we need to look for. If you want a rental, helping to find what are the rental goals, or is it cash flow, or is it just appreciation? And so it's a help if you're wanting to do that sort of thing. Talking to somebody who's done it,
and is in it,
doing it right now. Yeah,
your brother just gave me a whole education on Airbnb off camera. I'm thinking Airbnbs are dead. He's like, dude, look, I'm booked for months on end. It was crazy.
Yep, it is. Yeah, so that's what we're doing, and I think that's why we attract like-minded people, which absolutely. I think whatever your business looks like, you want to attract people that are like you. That's what makes your work fun and enjoyable, is to work with your people.
Right on, man. I think that's the culture that we have at Coldwell Banker. That's the culture we're trying to bring, as you know. And if I could have 1 million Jason Castros in addition to the team that we already have, it'd be. But you're one in a million, man. So all right, last question is we end every interview. Book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation. It's funny. We didn't even talk about this question, but I have a feeling I know where it's going.
I don't know, because I just started a new book.
Okay, which one?
So I started a book this week called Traction.
Traction.
Have you heard of it?
No.
It's about the entrepreneurial operating system. So it's a book geared towards entrepreneurs, business owners, small business owners, where if you're in real estate, you know, like they always say, you're running your own business now.
Absolutely.
And one of the most important things that I did early on was starting to treat it like a business. Let's keep track of our numbers. Let's keep track of our activities. Like most businesses do. We see how much we're selling, our conversion rate, all those things. If you start treating it like a business, it will become a business. And then, so Traction has been like, oh, I'm so excited about it. I'm just a week in, but it's like, hey, what makes a good business? And for a guy like me that's just big picture visionary,
Sure.
I like to, hey, this is a great idea, go, go, go. I'm always filling up my plates. I'm always overcommitted. I'm working on that.
Right.
And so the little details like, hey, what's our core value? What's our core mission? And defining all these steps, that's something that to me sounds like the details. It's like pulling teeth. I don't want to do it. But this book is laying out how, hey, when you do this, and this is what I found in real estate, is that structure actually gives you more freedom.
Sure.
I've always been like
Amen.
countercultural because I wanted my freedom. I was going to be a musician because I didn't want a day job. And now I'm like, man, I was, you know, when I was a musician, I worked 24/7. There was no, like, yeah, it was all fun, but it was exhausting. And now I'm like, hey, the only way to really have freedom is through this structure and knowing your business. So anyways, Traction, that's the book
Sure.
I'd recommend right now.
Well, dude, you hit the nail on the head because I think accountability is a great way to look at those numbers and tracking
Yeah.
your metrics. And, you know, people can look at accountability two different ways, my opinion at least. If you feel like you're being held accountable, it's really a self-reflection of you knowing you didn't perform the duties to which you're going to be held accountable for. Those that do perform it will look at it and say, for example, my leadership team, which we have an accountability call every Friday morning at 9:30, I tell them, I'm not holding you accountable. Because if I got to hold you accountable, one of us doesn't need to be here and it's not going to be me. I go, I want to make you so good at what you do that you can have quality of life. But in order to know where I can help you improve, I need to know what you're doing. Right? I think the line is you can't improve what you don't measure or something like that. And so what was interesting was you do come off as the musician, this cool, casual guy, right? You do.
Yeah.
You're charismatic. But when we met, and without you even prepping for it, and I don't know if you remember this in our first meeting, I'm like, all right, so how many closings did you have? You gave me the number. What percent of it was sphere of influence? Okay, great. What percent of it was you personally versus your team? Boom, great. What was Zillow? What was this? Like, you had it all down to a T without even asking anybody else on your team. So kudos, man, because you've made progress.
No, it's not easy for me because it's not my natural, but it is. I enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoy now. Okay, let's look at the numbers. Great. Okay, because it feels good to know when you do what you're supposed to do, the results happen, and then you can quit doing all the stuff you don't need to be doing.
That's right. All right, Jason, dude, you
Hey,
crushed it. That
thank you.
was so much fun, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go behind the camera and turn it off. Any parting words for the audience before you go?
No, not really. You guys stay safe out
Where
there.
can they find you, man?
Thanks for hanging out. Online, all the real estate stuff is at Castro Property Group. We're actually undergoing an overhaul on all of our online media, website, social media. So be looking out for that. But yeah.
There you go. Thanks, man.
Thank you.